with this for as long as my battery life works. However, let me restart now. Welcome to first ever this semester online live office hours for World Regional Geography, the I'm on a boat semester, traveling around the entire earth while simultaneously teaching a couple thousand folks in the online edition of World Regions back at Virginia Tech. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for signing up for this class. For those couple few people that are in here already, who may or may not be in the class, if you're in the class, welcome, greetings. Nice to meet you for the first time in a live environment. I'm John Boyer, the dude teaching this class. Hope you're loving the class. If not, even if you hate it, hope you learned something, learned anything. It's college after all. You're getting credit for this. I want you to learn something. But this is the online office hour. And the way it works is, hopefully you're seeing me right now, speaking live from Rio de Janeiro. And it is live. And if you want to ask me a question or make a comment, tell me how awesome the class is or how much it sucks, and I'll take either one. You hit me up via the chat room here on Ustream, or you can hit me up via the AIM, the AIM, the instant messaging service. And my screen name on AIM is GEOG1014. That's the course number, you know, GEOG1014, and it'll pop up the text window here, and I will answer your questions first and foremost. If you're on to the Google Chat scene, then my screen name in Google Chat is JOBOYER at thebigVT@edu. I'm sorry, it's just vt.edu, not the big. I just assume everybody at Virginia Tech knows it's the big VT.edu. So Google Chat screen name JOBOYER at vt.edu. Instant message screen name GEOG1014. And of course, you can hit it up here in the chat room on Ustream. I don't have any comments yet. I'm actually surprised that anybody, including Ed Welsh, is here. But Ed says, yeah, answered perfectly, thanks. I will give you a little bit more, Ed, now that I've reintroduced the office hour to everybody. And my favorite cities so far, there are never any favorites in life. It's like picking your favorite child or picking your favorite alcohol. I love them all equally. And every place I've been is fantastically awesome. There have been places that have surprised me more than others. I can say that with authority. Morocco is spectacular. Everybody should go to Morocco and go over the high Atlas Mountains on a treacherous road that will nearly paralyze you with fear. Go to the Sahara Desert, party with the locals, and they do drink there, by the way. Yes, I know it's an Islamic country, but it's a very liberal Islamic country. Most people drink. It's not hard to find beer, wine, or spirits. I just had a great time. Just met a lot of really good people in Morocco. South Africa was another place I was exceptionally surprised by. And I was exceptionally surprised. We were in Cape Town. You do have to keep it in perspective. I was in Cape Town, South Africa. One of the richer parts of the country, if not the richest part of the country. I take that back. Johannesburg, the capital, one of the capitals, is the richest city. It's the economic heart of South Africa. So most of the money is there in terms of high rollers, big buildings, expensive real estate, stuff like that. However, Cape Town is almost like this. Coastal town, a lot of money. Overall quality of living, standard of living is very high for everybody there. However, South Africa, what I was surprised by in Cape Town is how awesome it was, period. But I was surprised because I know the endemic problems in South Africa, specifically wealth disparity, tremendous poverty. Tremendous. Everybody hears about South Africa, knows about Nelson Mandela and apartheid, and yay, now they're free and everything's okay. No, not really. South Africa is the richest country in Africa, but it has perhaps the worst wealth disparity in Africa as well. Maybe the worst wealth disparity on planet Earth, meaning that there's a very small percentage of people which own like 90% of everything, and then the masses, which are mostly black South African masses, own nothing, are desperately poor. So what I was surprised about in Cape Town was kind of how chill it was. I was actually expecting it to be a lot worse. Yes, there's crime. There's a lot of violent crime. But I was expecting it to be way, way, way worse. And in fact, it was quite chill. And I'm like, wow, this place is fantastic, even given tremendous social friction, tremendous social problems, which, quite frankly, they're not out of the woods yet. South Africa has a way to go. But I was surprised how beautiful the place was, how absolutely awesome all the people were, and just the overall kind of feel of Cape Town, South Africa. Buenos Aires, another really good place. Buenos Aires, quite frankly, is, I won't say a boring city, but it's kind of like Brooklyn. Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, is kind of like Brooklyn 30 years ago. It's kind of hip. It's kind of trendy. It's kind of whatever. It's a city. If you get out to the Pampas, out to the countryside, out to the Patagonia in Argentina, spectacular, fabulous. And just to not overlook my European friends, because we did spend the first month traveling across Europe. Europe's always awesome. I mean, Portugal was phenomenal. We went to a bullfight in Spain, phenomenal. Hamburg, Germany, off the hook. One of the richest, most awesome cities I've been to on planet Earth. So every place has a little special place in my heart. But the surprising ones have been Morocco, South Africa, and here in Rio. And Rio is plagued with crime, by the way. It's horrific crime. But it's so spectacular, everybody kind of deals with it. It's like, yeah, I get mugged every other day, but dude, look where I'm at. Look where I'm at. So yeah, there's that. There's little things we deal with no matter where you live at. Hopefully, Brazil's going to get its act together here soon. They better, since they're getting ready to host the 2014 World Cup and the 2016 World Olympics. They're going to have to get their act in order. By act in order, I mean they're going to have to start dealing with crime in a much bigger way. And in dealing with crime in a much bigger way, they're going to have to start dealing with police corruption in a way bigger way. Everybody here is torn. Who's the bigger crooks? The thugs that run the street or the police that are supposed to be patrolling them? So they've got to get their economic house is in order. They have to get their social house in order, starting with their armed forces, but way more so the police. You okay? Okay. Everything's still working? Sorry, I'm kind of blinded again. It's so super bright here. I'm going to be like so super sunburned after just doing this office hours for an hour. Let me look into the chat room here to see if anybody's hooking us up. What is your favorite place? I think that was what Ed asked me. People say it's working, it's working. Greeting. Oh, it's Yo Scott. No way. Yo Scott from Charlottesville, back in cold-ass Virginia. That is awesome. Thanks for chiming in, Yo Scott. You rock it. So it's negative degrees in Virginia right now because, I don't know, I'm not bragging or anything, but it's every bit of 85 or 90 here. What do you think, Katie? What's the air temp here? Approaching 90. But we are in the tropics, and everybody right now back in Virginia might be semi-jealous, be like, oh, man, it's hot there. I wish it was hot where I'm at, too, but it's like 90 degrees here every freaking day. You'd be here a week and you'd be done with it. I'm actually missing fall big time. That was one of my big misgivings coming on this trip, was that I love fall. I love the four seasons. I'm not a tropics guy. I mean, I'm digging this. I mean, who's not digging this? But I don't want to spend my whole life here. I don't want to spend my rest of my life where it's 80 to 90 degrees every day. No thanks. I'll let the hot lovers, the heat seekers, can have that crap. So one of my biggest misgivings coming on this whole semester at sea was, oh man, I'm going to miss fall. I'm going to miss football season. I'm going to miss that crisp air. I'm going to miss those leaves falling. So there was that. Always, Susie, want to move our stuff in case things start to get packed over here? So yeah, I know you guys are cold right now and maybe miserable, and you're seeing this behind me, loving life, or loving life for me. But I'm already done with it. I've been in the heat now for like 2 months. I'm done. I can't wait to get back for it to be cold. I hope it's snowing there by the time we get back. I heard it snowed on Halloween. Is that true? Oh, a snow-covered jack-o'-lantern. How freaking awesome would that be? Okay, sorry. I started raging and I got lost here with my chats. Here we go. Cody. And again, I apologize for covering my eyes. Seriously, in the tropics, sun is intense. I don't know what it is. For those of you that have been near the equator, we're not even near the equator. We're like at 24 degrees southerly latitude. We're barely on the fringe of the true tropics. But the sun is so much more intense down here. There's no seasons in the tropics, so the sun is always high, the rays are always direct, and of course when you're on the equator, you're on the bulge of the Earth, so you're closer to the sun by a few miles. But it's just intense, so I can barely see the screen even in front of me, so I have to shield my eyes to read this chat coming in via the AIM from Cody YE91. Cody YE91. Cool. What's up, Cody? Cody says, I miss our current events part of lectures. and I know you are on the go. So if you get some time, give us your input on some major stories. Dude, Cody, that's what I'm here for right now. Hit me up. By the way, for those of you that have just tuned in, I'm on the 20th floor of some ritzy ass hotel that has been on the brink of kicking us out the whole time because obviously I ain't got money. So, and I ain't a hotel guest here either. So what you do is you roll into the pool and you order a bottle of bubbly. You're like, hey, what's up? Yeah, we're just setting up. Yeah, give me a bottle. Charge it to somebody else's room who I don't know. Just so you know real quick, and I'll answer your question, Cody. Dig this. Whoop, 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 whoop. So here's the scene behind me, and then here's the actual pool bar. Oh. Maybe you just got blinded because I just directed it into the sun, but it's a pool on that side of me. Bunch of rich people. Like the kind of rich people that are like really rich but not in shape, and you're like, oh. Yeah, they're mostly Europeans. I heard some of them speaking English, though. Yeah, English and German. So these are people that aren't even good looking enough to be down on the Copacabana beach sunning in their G-strings. Although, dude, there's a lot of like Brazilians that are the prototypical, you know, glamour shot of Brazil and Rio is all these beautiful people wearing G-strings, including the men. The reality is that, yes, a lot of them wear G-strings, even the men, and they ain't that good looking. And I am not judgmental, by the way. I don't care if you're good looking, pretty, ugly, depending on society's value system. I don't care about any of that. What I mean by they're not good looking is they're not glamour shots. They're not magazine material. They don't conform to the beauty realities of our thin veneer society. But they're very proud people. They don't care. So there's people that are like, you know, overweight. They're like, I don't give a shit. I'm wearing a banana hammock anyway. I think it's hilarious. It's great. But anyway, I have digressed far enough. Let me get back to you, Cody. Oh, so Cody was asking about current events. Dude, I'm all about it, Cody, but hit me up with what? So much has been going on that if I go on a tear about planet Earth, I'll be here for another 6 hours, and battery life's halfway. So I'm not going to make it. So is there something in particular that's happened in current events that you'd like me to chat about? And again, for first-time viewers, for those of you that are just tuning in, we've been online for just over 10 minutes. This is the famous Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro. The mountain right there behind me, the one sticking up, it's awesome scenery, is Sugarloaf Mountain. Famous place you go to view stuff. You can't see from here because it's behind the granite Nice mountain right there, but the statue of Jesus, Christ the Redeemer, the most awesome Art Deco Christ figure on planet Earth, is on a mountain facing us over that way. So we're in the heart of southern Rio. To reiterate, the southern tier. Rio is a very big urban area, like 10 to 12 million people, and it's split kind of into zones because they're divided up by all these mountains you see behind us. Let's pan it again. They're not even mountains, they're kind of hills, 2,000 to 3,000 feet top. So kind of like the Appalachians, but they rise up immediately, very jut straight up. And they're hardcore metamorphic rock that won't ever weather, which is why they are sticking up. And the whole city is kind of evolved around these hills. So we're on the kind of divided southern tier of Rio. That's the famous beaches, like Copacabana behind me, like Ipanema. Ipanema is just west of me over that way. So it's beautiful beach after beautiful beach, and the mountains kind of separate them from the rest. So this is the southern tier, some of the most expensive real estate in Latin America. I'm assuming some of the most expensive real estate in the world, but certainly the most expensive properties in the continent of South America are here. Kind of like very touristy, some business, but mostly tourist. Beautiful places, some favelas growing up the hillsides around me, and I'll see if I can pan around so you can see. Zoom, 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 zoom. Trying to find, oh, okay, there you go. If you see in between the gap right there, you see kind of cheaper looking housing climbing up the hills there. That's kind of classic favela. Unregulated, unlicensed, everything housing that poor people just build up out of whatever materials they can find. Rio is famous for their favelas, aka slums, up in the marginal areas going up the hill that you can't really legally and logically develop on. That's the fringe where high crime areas, again, unregulated areas, dangerous areas for non-locals. But we have southern tiers where we're at, southern Rio. You go over the hills that way, that's northern Rio where the central business district is, a lot more people. And that's because Once you go around that Sugarloaf I just pointed out, right there, once you go around, you go into a bay. This is the Atlantic over here behind me. Once you go around Sugarloaf, you're going into a big-ass bay, and most of the city fronts the bay. This is the beautiful luxury resorts. Dude, I think I'm being pretty loud over here. That guy's louder than me. If at any time you guys can't hear me because there's some obnoxiously loud dude, if you see, oh, you can still hear me good? Okay. Well, I can always go to the mic. That's what I was saying. So you go that way over the hills and you tour North Rio, Central Business District, big buildings, skyscrapers. And then if you go west from there over some more hills, the city extends quite some distance. And again, I don't even know how many miles. It snakes inland into a really big non-stop urban area all the way in. For those of you who have seen City of God, if you ever watched City of God, in my class, the favelas depicted in there are probably not here in the south. They're probably favelas over in the North District or reaching into the northwestern districts. So quite a bit of ways from the touristy, rich area that we're in right this second. But anyway, for Cody or anybody else out there who wants to ask a question, I am here to answer questions about anything, anytime, any place, about class stuff, current event stuff, Rio stuff, any stuff. And Cody had asked about current events, but clue me into specifics. Oh, that's a very good question. First question actually comes in from screen name 3TK2OXK38 with 7,000 other digits after that. Pick a real screen name, man! And their question is, will Tech cover the spread against UVA? All politics is local, and apparently all office hours is local. I do not have an answer for you, 3TK2OXK, because I don't know what the spread is. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say, easily. Sorry, Yo Scott, you're in Charlottesville. Oh, wait a minute, you went to Tech, though. You're rooting for the Hokies even against the UVA. So I can't talk to the spread, but somebody else asked. Eric G9 of the Hizzle says, how are the food and drinks there? Surprisingly, just okay, quite honestly. Brazil is an awesome, rich-ass country. It's getting richer by the second. But I don't know that they've made it quite yet into the kind of upper echelon, top snob tier that I'm used to. No, I'm not really quite that bad, but in terms of like high-end restaurants, they're just okay. In terms of any sort of alcohol, wine, no. And Brazil actually makes wine. Southern Brazil is much like Argentina in climate, so they're making more and more wine down in southern Brazil, but it's not that good. And the wine selection is mostly European. Anywhere you go on planet Earth, if you go to a rich hotel like this one, or any rich place, you'll find a European wine selection. But no local wines. The local firewater is rum-based. It's decent. And they have some local beers. In fact, they have a lot of local beers. They have the population of this place is like 200 million people, and 200 million people in a tropical climate drink a hell ton of beer. So Brazil makes a hell ton of beer, but it's almost like the three big boys in the United States. Meaning the United States is still dominated by Bud, Miller, and Coors. That's still 75 to 95% of what people drink. And that's what you have in Brazil, but not those three, but Brazilian brands. One of them's called Antarctica. I think one of them's called Polar. One of them's called, they have a lot of Bohemia here. What are some of the other local beers, Katie? I forget. Well, Xingu's a special one that's awesome. But there's a whole bunch of really light lager that's quite frankly awesome when it's 100 degrees outside. So hell tons of decent light lager. Again, extremely like America. 90% of what's being drunk is a light lager, and it's fine. It's respectable. The one to try out of Brazil, though, is Xingu, Xingu. It's a black lager. I had it like 20 years ago. It was the only thing that was worth exporting out of Brazil for beer snobs. And it's quite delightful, and since I've had it here on tap, I got blown away. It's the only beer I've ever had. It's a lager, but it's dark, so it has really great chocolatey hints, like chocolate. It's the only time I've ever said that about a beer. It's chocolatey. But it's a light lager with really good malt flavor, and it's phenomenal. I don't know if that answers your question. I'll speak to my previous country, Argentina. Argentina was phenomenal for cuisine. Whew. Wow, they're beef people down there, and they eat a lot of beef here, but Argentina grows the beef, and they're famous for beef. So you can go anywhere and someone's going to throw a steak at you. I mean, there's steaks at like 7-Eleven. There's a piece of steak on a bun for $1. I mean, it's steak everywhere, and it's really good quality. So we actually overdid it for red meat in Argentina. We're trying to take it a little easier here. But phenomenal food in Buenos Aires and in the Pampas. Okay food here. Okay, it's good. They will get better. As they ramp up for the World Cup and the Olympics, you better believe they're going to be up in their game to have super expensive restaurants here. They're not there yet, but give them 2 more years. I hope that answered your question, Eric G., and thanks for tuning in. And why can I not see this question that Katie supposedly gave me? Where all these, all the windows kind of disappeared on me. So what was the question that you asked, Katie? Oh, that's right. And Eric G says, yo, thanks. Thank you, Eric. You're too awesome. So somebody in the chat room asked, and someone in the chat room also says, look for plantains when you go to Cuba. Yeah, absolutely. Cuba eats the cheap food, and actually the cheap food is the comfort food, and that shizzle is good. Black beans and rice. Red beans and rice, twice as nice in Cuba with some fried plantains. That's all I need. And some cold, cold, cold Havana beer with also some Havana Club rum shot on the side. Done, done, and done. Because I'm going to Havana, Cuba after this. But back to the question of, what's the deal with Saudi Arabia surprising and shocking the world by giving up their seat at the United Nations Security Council? Not the permanent, not the permanent. They were given, after they asked for it, to get on the rotating Security Council. You have to ask for it. You have to petition for it. You have to put in your application. It has to be discussed, goes through a meeting, and then you get accepted. So Saudi Arabia had put in their chit to get accepted to the Security Council. And this is going on a month ago. Sorry, I'm way behind on this news story. A month ago, they were accepted, and 48 hours after they were accepted, they declined. They said, oh yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Completely shocked the world. Even shocked me. I usually know what's going on. This is one of those, no one saw it coming because nobody could have seen it coming. It happened too quickly. And so the question is, what did they do that for? What's Saudi pissed off about? I can tell you they're actually pissed off about plenty. And this was definitely a political move to essentially show their allies, not even their enemies, to show their allies how pissed off and unhappy they were. So what am I talking about? I really should do a whole podcast just on this. But what happened is, or what has been happening, and you've probably seen these current events floating around the last few months, is that Saudi Arabia is pissed that the United States and Western countries are not doing more to destroy the Syrian regime. So point one, Saudis are pissed that the West has not stepped up to help dethrone Bashar al-Assad in Syria. Saudi Arabia, for its part, months ago, and with its other the kingdom allies on the Arabian Peninsula, places like Bahrain, Kuwait, et al., all of those Arab kingdoms together months ago said, yeah, we hate Bashar al-Assad, we want him overthrown, and we're going to supply money and guns and support to the rebels in Syria to overthrow him. I'm assuming they expected that would be such a pivotal moment that the West would say, well, hell, look, all the neighbors, all of our allies, all of our Arab allies in the neighborhood want Assad overthrown, so we should help out. That did not happen. And on top of that, in the last month, ever since Russia came up with this ingenious plan, oh my God, total diplomatic coup on Russia's part, to come up with this plan to negotiate Assad giving up chemical weapons in order so he can stay in power and basically end the civil war. That was a Russian plan that John Kerry accidentally agreed to, and so now Saudi Arabia is double pissed that they have this action happening that's legitimizing the very Syrian regime that they want toppled and are supporting a movement to topple. So still on point one, Saudi Arabia is plenty pissed that the U.S. has not done more to topple Assad, and on top of that is basically going with the Russian plan to keep Assad in place. So point one, they're pissed. Saudis are pissed about the Syrian situation, but that's not all. Point two, they're double pissed that the United States, for the first time since 1979, is having negotiations with, wait for it, Iran. So We've been over 30 years since the United States has even talked to Iran. Iran is Saudi Arabia's main adversary, their main competition for influence in the Middle East. They hate Iran. And it used to be they could count on the United States also hating Iran. And here the United States is diplomatically ready to deal with Iran, maybe having a negotiated settlement to Iran's nuclear issue of Iran trying to get a nuclear weapon. This is brand new, friends. I know most of you weren't born long before we stopped talking to Iran, but the U.S. has always hated Iran, and the Saudis have always hated Iran with us. So point two, the Saudis now are horribly upset that the United States might be making peace with Iran, their main regional enemy. And I was thinking there was something else. Might be something else. I can't even remember what it is. But it doesn't matter if there was a 3, 4, and 5. Those two were the main kind of two sticking points. The Saudis are not happy about current U.S. position when it comes to any of their neighbors, any of Saudi's neighbors, because they're not a full reversal, but they're kind of they've not a 180-degree turn, but at least a 90-degree turn off of what the standard U.S. and Saudi policy has been for a long, long time. Does that make sense? Whoever asked that question? Someone said, yep. I see you, Katie. Katie saying hi, 424. Let's see. Katie says, what do you think of the future of crack-smoking mayor of Toronto, Rob Ford? Now, he's gone. Rob Ford, whoever this clown is, he's gone. And the reason he's definitely gone is because he's fighting to not be gone. Anybody with any self-respect, with any realistic insight of how the world works, with any political savvy, when he was busted with buying drugs or smoking crack, would have got the hell out of there. He actually could have salvaged his career, but he's so stupid, literally dumb as a brick, stupid. And I don't even know that he's stupid. He can't be that damn dumb to have gotten into office. So I believe he's on crack. I think he's pulling a Charlie Sheen. He's on crack and he's out of his mind, and he's out of his mind on camera. So instead of, after you say, yes, I am an elected leader who bought drugs, that's against the law, and I smoked crack, that's also against the law, and I'm going to stay in office because I deserve it. Anyone who says that obviously is not in touch with reality. They're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They've either completely gone insane or they're under the influence of drugs. And so for this guy to be challenging him getting thrown out of office is the biggest political nonsense hanging himself ever that I've ever seen in office. And by the way, had he just stepped down, had he been like, I got caught buying drugs, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was having a tough time at home. I'm under stress. I'm going to go check into rehab and straighten things out. Had he done that, he'd be fine. He'd be fine. Most of you probably don't remember this either, but Marion Barry, the mayor of Washington, D.C., has been busted for crack twice and reelected twice. So it's not even unheard of that you can do this, but you don't do it the way this idiot in Canada is doing. It's like, you buffoon. You make nicey nice and you go away. You don't stand there and have a crack pipe in your hand and demand you stay in office. What a buffoon. So sorry to get to Canadian politics because I usually don't cover nonsensical stuff like that, but this is the state of affairs of too many politicians in North America as a whole. A bigger story, other than that idiot crack smoker in Toronto, is that Congress's approval ratings are now in single digits. Has everybody seen that? Single digits. 8% approval rating of Congress, possibly an all-time low. What's that? Brazilian. Oh, this is Brazilian sparkling wine? Yeah, the sparkling wine is pretty good. Whoever asked me the question about Brazilian food and alcohol earlier, let me add in, their wine's not that great overall, but their sparkling wine is pretty good. And I was told that by folks in Argentina. I was also told that by folks here in Brazil. Even Brazilians like, nah, the table wine is just meh. The sparkling wine's pretty good. This is a sparkling rosé. I don't even know what the grapes they made it out of, but it's quite delightful. But I'm ready to answer another question about anything. Dude, I'm getting totally baked here too. Oh, here you go. I'm gonna duck down a little bit. Show you some more of this beach so I can try to get into the shade a little bit. Woo! I'm telling you, that sun gets hot. Yeah, you can. I can see a question. Whoever's asking in the chat room, I see Heinrich Schmidt is trying to ask a question. I can see all chat rooms right now. Oh, cool. Yo Scott says that the Senate just changed the filibuster rule. That's a step in the right direction. Boy, that's a definite step in the right direction. Their filibuster nonsense is getting out of control. Oh, dude. All right, I'm just going to have to brave it out. I'm just going to get sunburned for you guys because it's too awesome. Oh, you got some sunscreen? Yeah, it's probably too late. My forehead's probably scorched, but I'm doing it for the team. Doing it for Team VT. Everybody else back in the States. God, the things I do for folks back in the States. I do it all for you guys. You know this. So, breaking news in the last hour. The Senate is chucking its nonsensical, bizarre filibuster rules, which have allowed for, pardon me while I apply some of this junk to my face. They're getting rid of those filibuster rules, which means that one single Tea Party candidate, one single Tea Party person can't hold up the entire country indefinitely, which has been the case for, let's see, forever. It must, and if it passed, that means it must have had Republican support, and that's actually a step in the right direction, because if it had Republican support, that means enough Republicans are tired of the nonsense of the whack-ass, crazy fringe-ass right. By the way, I'm not saying this because I am politically affiliated or even care about politics. You know me, guys know me. I don't care. I don't follow it. I don't want to follow it. So I'm not saying that Tea Party people are crazy because I have a dog in this hunt. I don't got a dog in this fight. I could care less who gets elected. In fact, if they elect a Tea Party person, good for them. Go for it. I'm just saying they're so ridiculous. And given the filibuster laws that used to be on the books in America, one single right-wing fringe person who so despises Barack Obama and or the United States and or the government and or the Democrats, one single right-wing fringe insane person has been able to completely stop the U.S. government from doing anything. And actually, that's been what's been going on pretty much since Obama got elected, but certainly since the government shutdown nonsense that hit the fan not that long ago. That was all because of a handful of people who said, nope, we hate Obama so much. We hate his guts so much, and we hate socialized healthcare so much that we're going to destroy the entire country if we have to, because destroying the country would be better than socialized medicine would be. Don't look at me. I don't make the rules. I just call them like I see them. So getting rid of the filibuster means that now you can have a sensible majority, which I believe is what democracy is supposed to be about, can start to move things forward and pass things which are good for the country, not just for the 50 people in the constituency of Northwest Alabama or wherever these folks are from who are adamant that they want to close shop on the entire government no matter what unless they get their way. That's not how democracy works. So glad to see the filibuster thing is finally going to go away. Could not go away fast enough. I do not think it's any threat to democracy that we're getting rid of that. I don't know why it would have been there in the first place. Why would you ever allow one person to stop the machine? That is not democracy. That's not democracy. Democracy is about the majority. Not every single person gets every single thing they want, because that's what we call actually anarchy, and it doesn't work so well. And so these fanatics, I guess on the left and right too, but it's mostly been the right, have been able to stop the government because they're not getting what they personally want for their 100 people in their constituency. That's bizarre. Good to see that go. Anyway, sorry I've raged about that for far too long. Let me see if I can catch up here. Will they refuse the stadium? This most sunshine the Plight Avengers ever basked in? Absolutely. What does Boyer think about the economic effect once the World Cup is over, especially when Olympics are coming up 2 years later? That's a very good question. Whoever asked that about the Olympics, the World Cup and Olympics effect here on Brazil, because it plays into current events of Brazil in a very big way. Meaning most Brazilians, of which there's like 190 million of them, are so far unconvinced that spending $70 billion, $70 billion, to construct new subways, some new infrastructure, but mostly soccer stadiums, football stadiums, track stadiums. Most Brazilians that I've talked to seem to be of the opinion that, nope, that ain't worth much. And even business folks have said, yeah, I mean, So at the end of the Olympics, at the end of the World Cup and the end of the Olympics, we've had in total about 3 weeks of tourism. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. How much money can any number of tourists spend in Brazil in 3 weeks that's going to significantly affect things long term? And the answer is not many. So what governments, countries want the Olympics. It's mostly a pride thing. It's a national pride. And Brazil got lucky enough to get both the World Cup and the Olympics back to back, which means they've spent a shit ton of money for their national pride. Will that equate to, say, longer-term infrastructure investments? Some. Longer-term business investments? Some. But the majority of Brazilians, I think, are of the opinion, no, it's not worth it. And we have plenty of things going on here that we should be spending $70 billion on, including better buses, better infrastructure for regular folks who are trying to get to work, better police. And in fact, that's one of the big sticking points with Brazil is there's a lot of crime here, like a lot. But people say, well, yeah, you could call the police, but they're equally as corrupt as the crooks. So they need to get their social house in order. I said this a little bit earlier. And they need to spend perhaps a little bit more money doing that, and that's what a lot of folks are saying. Hey, this is uncool. We don't think that they should be doing this. We don't think we should be spending $70 billion when we have a lot of stuff that we actually need here in Rio that would be better spent on that $70 billion. By the way, that's why, this is exactly why you had the protest here in Brazil over the last, of course, off and on for the last 6 months. That is, the bus fares went up. And people, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, and people got furious about it. They said, you guys are spending $70 billion of our tax dollars to build soccer stadiums, and you're going to charge us more for bus fare? WTF? And that really was that just everybody snapped. They said, I think it's the Portuguese word hasta. Enough. This is preposterous. Most Brazilians say that the government is entirely corrupt, the politicians are wildly corrupt, that the police are corrupt, and that you have way too much violent crime. And so, why are we building soccer stadiums? That's the sense on the street. At the same time, a lot of people are like, well, yeah, but there's a lot of construction jobs that are being created. There's a lot of foreign investment that's coming in. There is a sense of national pride. This is really cool. So it's a mixed bag. Overall, long term, it's too early to call if it's a long-term benefit for Brazil. It's definitely a short-term benefit for business people who are building all these things, and it's a short-term plus for all the people getting jobs. If the government will continue to step up and do a good job, that's a question we can't answer yet. Someone asked, are you in Ipanema or Copa? Gotta go visit Lapa. Yeah, I have not been to Lapa yet. I'm in, this is Copacabana Beach behind me. Copacabana Beach behind me here. And over right there is Sugarloaf Mountain. Take a tram up to the top of it, and actually then a tram from that over to another mountain on the other side of it. Absolutely gorgeous, beautiful place. Let's see, what else we got here? Oh, I'm sorry, from the chat room. Have they started construction for World Cup? Oh yeah, they started construction for World Cup the second that it was announced that they won the bid. Same thing for the Olympics. So we're in the southern Rio, right? It's already fully developed. This is all tourist areas, beautiful beaches, the whole 9 yards. There's nothing to rebuild here. None of the stadiums and stuff are going here. The north side up there on the other side of that ridge, Central Business District, that's where tons of construction is happening. And again, to give the Brazilian Rio government a little bit of credit, they are doing a lot of infrastructure. If I understood the guy enough, because of course I don't speak Portuguese, they're redoing the entire subway system over in northern Rio in order to be able to facilitate millions of people coming here for the World Cup and for the Olympics. So they're redoing the train system, they're redoing the subway system, they're going to rebuild a couple of raised, I believe, elevated highways. So they're working fanatically for the transportation sector. But of course, they also have to build a tremendous amount of stadiums, and so it's like non-stop construction all the way up the north coast around that arc of that mountain I just pointed out to you, and into the interior too, because I believe World Cup is not so stressful for Rio, because I believe the World Cup happens all over Brazil, I think. So I think there's stadiums all over the country that playing is happening, but when it comes to the Olympics, it's all here in Rio. So They're behind. Almost every time anybody wins the Olympics, everybody's like, "Yay!" And day one, "Yay, we won the Olympics." Day two, "Shit, we're behind. We need to hurry up and start building faster." So they're behind, as is most countries that win the Olympic bid, and they'll be struggling, and it will go to the wire. But of course, they're going to have to. It has to get done. The Olympics have to happen. So mixed bag for the Olympics and the World Cup. Certainly a big point of national pride that Brazil will pull it off, when and if they pull it off. I would love to be down here for it, by the way. I'm sure it's going to be phenomenal, because this city is just fantastic. I mean, it's crazy. The scenery's crazy. The terrain is crazy. The people, 90% of them are good. The other 10% are thugs. So crime is really high, but people just deal with it. They're like, yeah, well, you get mugged every other day. Yeah, you live with it. Or not. Another one from the chat room. What does Boyer think about the economic effect once the World Cup is over? Okay, I think I just answered that one. Again, the World Cup, probably not nearly as big a deal as the Olympics, since the Olympics all happen here in the Rio vicinity, and they have to build all of those facilities for the Olympics. World Cup, just a soccer stadium. They already have one or two of those in the vicinity that they're revamping. One being revamped, two new ones, I believe. And there's other ones around the country. From the chat room, the more I look back on the Iraq War, hold on, I'm going to have to dip down to read this. The more I look back on the Iraq War, the more I agree with it, even with the bloodbath that was unleashed. It seems that people weren't ready to remove Saddam under any circumstances. Okay, I'm sorry, what was the question though? Oh, okay. I think I see what you're asking. You're asking, or just stating, is the Iraq War now, in hindsight of a few years of us leaving, quote unquote leaving, is it perhaps, was it justifiable that we took out Saddam Hussein? Not that many people actually would disagree with the idea that taking out Saddam Hussein was a good thing. I'm not going to disagree with it. He was an asshole. He was an asshole dictator, and I never have a problem taking out an asshole dictator anywhere. Problem is implementing democracy. So I think through your statement, if I can interpret your statement correctly, what you're saying is they weren't prepared to take out Saddam, and I believe you're saying that because you say, well, look at all the violence that's still there. People are blowing stuff up because they're supporters of Saddam. Yes and no. Iraq, this is a whole other lecture, of course, but Iraq is extremely problematic and will always be. I believe it's going to devolve into a civil war state in the next 2 years and will end up as multiple states, not one. And so that's, to me, the underlying core problem with Iraq, is it never should have been a single state to begin with, period. And it's because you have too many different groups who don't like each other in it. Saddam Hussein was just the brutal, strong-armed dictator who was holding it all together. Am I still... Katie, can you check? Can you check to see if I'm still on? Yeah, messages are popping up. It's saying stop broadcast, stop record. Still good? I think maybe it's still working. Okay. Well, in brief, when it comes to Iraq, it was a country that never should have been. All of the states of the Middle East, for those of you who took my class, you probably remember this, all of the countries of the Middle East, the borders were drawn after World War I by the victorious European powers, with no regard to the people there and no care. In fact, there's a great book called A Peace to End All Peace that, to me, sums it all up. The guy who wrote that book, his thesis is the way that the Europeans subdivided up the Middle East ensured that there will always be animosity, there'll always be friction, and there'll always be people pissed off trying to fight and trying to create a new country. And so far, that's a very good thesis. So Iraq will devolve into multiple states soon. To me, it's a reality, because you have Shias who have more of an affiliation, Shia Iraqis who have more of an affiliation with Iran, Sunni Iraqis who have more of an affiliation with Sunni Arabs in other states and who supported Saddam Hussein, and then you have the Kurds up north who hate everybody. All these entities don't like each other, and they're all thrown into a state almost in equal parts. You can do the math and predict the future. They have not gotten along for 1,000 years. They're not going to get along for the next 1,000 years, and they will eventually have a full-on civil war where strong enough parties emerge to tear away pieces of it, to either join Iran, join Jordan, or join Syria, or become a new Kurdish state. My money's on the Kurdish state being created first. You heard it here first. They'll say, we're a separate state, we don't care, we're out of here, and that will then, it'll be a battle to the finish for the rest of the remainder of Iraq. So, to summarize, yes, the United States going in and taking out Saddam Hussein took out kind of one threat, and that is a brutal dictator who had invaded an ally of ours, Iraq, who might have gone apeshit crazy, developed a nuclear weapon, gone crazy enough to attack another Arab state. We don't know. We'll never know that. But him going away is not a bad thing in the long term. But what the absence of a strong armed dictator left was a mess, which is going to be a mess for some time to come. Hey, helicopter, saying hi to the Flight Avenger. What? Okay. Ustreamer 952389 asks, can Boyer talk about the leak that the NSA was wiretapping Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel? Well, it's no leak, that's a fact. Everybody's already admitted to it. The NSA was indeed, from the diplomatic quarters in Germany, 100% tapped the phone line, personal phone line of one Angela Merkel, the most awesome German chancellor. She's none too happy about it. No one in Germany is none too happy about it. It has caused, I won't say a rift between allies, but unhappiness and friction between strong allies for sure. They've made this clear. They've made public statements that say, this is causing a rift between our countries. You can't spy. We're your ally. You cannot wiretap my house. That's bullshit. And not to seem like too much of a liberal lefty tree hugger, which I am not, I kind of have a tendency to agree with that. It's like, dudes, it's, you know, the U.S. government, oh, by the way, let me back up before I get too crazy and start ranting. If the U.S. government would have just have said, oh gosh, yeah, oh, we got busted. Sorry, we won't do that again. That was a bad call on our part. If they'd have done that, this might have gotten smoothed over a little bit quicker. But instead, a whole bunch of senators and people from the top down basically went on TV, international TV, and said, yeah, so. All right, well, that's not really the most diplomatic way, and of course I'm paraphrasing. What a lot of folks said was, well, yes, of course we were wiretapping her. We wiretap everybody because everybody wiretaps everybody. Everybody knows that all countries spy on all other countries. You know what? That's true. But you don't say it. It's called having tact. It's called being a little bit humble and saying, no, we're not trying to offend our allies, so yeah, we're sorry about that. Instead, we took the we don't care tactic, and it's like, yep, well, that's actually what's caused the bigger ripples here of, so the U.S. is spying on everybody, including its friends, and it does not care that it's offending them. That's the problem. That's the rub right there. And so the U.S., I'm sure, has now been kind of in, not diplomatic overdrive, but maybe trying to compensate for its early lack of tact, let's say. Whether this will damage relations long term, who knows, but sillier things have come between countries. So we can't take these things too lightly. I think it was, again, not a bad move on the U.S.'s part to necessarily spy on other countries, including its allies, but the way it was handled was terrible, just absolutely terrible. By the way, this, for you Obama haters or even Obama lovers out there, this has been a terrible year for President Obama. I feel for the dude. I'm not sure what else could go wrong at this point, but there can't be that many things left to go wrong. They've offended people at home, which is expected, because, you know, all the Republicans hate his guts, the Tea Party people want him dead. The Congress has been gridlocked, which is why the whole country hates all the government, and some of that blame goes to Obama. But his administration has been nonstop offending people in the world. I don't even care about domestic politics, but when it comes to things like that, you want another one? A beer. Yeah. Yeah, they've pretty much offended people inside the country and outside the country, like multiple times now. So it's been a rocky year, rocky 2013 for the Obama administration. I'd say I feel bad for him, but I mean that's why you get elected. That's why you want the post, is because you ultimately have to take responsibility for stuff that happens to your country and with your country. So bad karma indeed. I think that's all I got to say about the Obama situation for now, or the wiretapping situation. Let me go to the chat room. Let's see, sorry. More from chat. The more the better, along with Brazil. Okay, I'm not sure I understand that part. Do we think you think we'll reach a nuclear deal / sanction with Iran? No. I do not believe that, although it's getting quite interesting. The bedfellows that are being created from the U.S. trying to broker a deal with Iran are fascinating. I mean, absolutely fascinating. Sorry, another drink coming. Oh, thank you.
Saúde.
Obrigado. And what I mean by strange bedfellows that have been unfolding is that not only for the person that asked me the question about why Saudi Arabia was so pissed enough to make a political statement to reject its UN Security Council seat, is that the Saudis are part of the strange bedfellows here. Saudi Arabia is not happy about the United States making nice with Iran at all. By the way, it hasn't happened yet. The Saudis are unhappy about even the attempt that the U.S. is trying to smooth over ties with Iran and trying to negotiate a nuclear deal with them instead of just bombing them. So Saudi Arabia don't like it and is pissed off at its friend, the United States. Guess who else is? In that exact same boat is Israel. Israel, of course, despises Iran. Iran despises Israel. The former leader of Iran has made multiple mentions of eliminating the state of Israel. So no love lost between those countries. And the United States is Israel's staunchest ally and has been for 60 years. But the current leaders of Israel are very unhappy that the United States is doing any sort of deal negotiation with Iran. They're furious about it. So here you have this bizarre world where Israel and Saudi Arabia now are on the same side of an argument, petitioning the United States to not deal with Iran. It's pretty fascinating. Pretty fascinating indeed. So who knows what the futures of this Iranian deal is going to be, because it can't even get through the Security Council for anything to be passed. And why would that be? Because of yet another odd bedfellow in this game, and that is, of all the countries that you think would stop a U.S. brokered deal with Iran, what country on the permanent Security Council do you think vetoed any move for a deal to go forward? I'll give you 5 guesses because there's only 5 members of the Security Council. Well, the U.S. didn't veto it. They proposed it. The U.K. didn't veto it. They love the U.S. One would think Russia would have vetoed. Nope. Russia went along with it. China? Nope. The French. The freaking French are also now siding up with the Saudis and Iran and saying, nope, we want to be hardcore about Iran. We don't think there should be any broker deal. We think Iran's too radical and that they're lying, and that if we try to negotiate anything, that the Iranians are just using it to buy time and they're going to build a nuclear bomb anyway. So I think I've said it 3 times during this office hour. Another curveball way out of left field. The Frenchies are in this. Who would have thought? I don't know. So the Frenchies have stepped up and bolstered ties with Israel, and they've always been a friend of Israel, but usually the U.S. is a better friend of Israel, but not on this. Not right now. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, hates Barack Obama. He's not happy with the United States. He loves Francois Hollande. He loves him. Francois Hollande is supporting Israel's bid in this. So the Saudis, the Israelis, and the French, all on one side of this fight to not do any deal with Iran whatsoever. Very bizarre times in which we live. I'm trying to fathom what world I would have predicted those 3 countries all being in agreement on something, but there it is. There it is. So the question originally was, is there going to be some deal? And it seems impossible given those 3 countries specifically the French, who can actually stop something at the Security Council, and the Israelis and the Saudis, which the United States doesn't want to piss off. They're good allies of ours. Okay. Do I got anything else? Has this been a successful online office hour, by the way? And I have to reiterate this one more time. I'm up here with a bunch of rich-ass people, right? Most of them overweight. That's cool. I got no problem with that. But like super rich Europeans who all are gawking at me and like telling their waiters to kick me out of here. This is so freaking hilarious. This has been my most unique office hour from the 20th floor on the Copacabana Beach, where I'm running off European tourists. Bye. Those people were pissed, Katie. Those people almost interjected earlier. They were furious. They were like pointing, and I'm like, those people by the damn pool over there. They were like, what the hell ever. What a bunch of idiots. All right. Well, is there any other questions from, is there anybody actually, let me be serious for uno momento. Is there anybody in here? Dude, look at the scene, though. Look at Copacabana Beach. Is there anybody in here that's actually enrolled in my World Regions class right now? If anybody is enrolled in my World Regions class right now, I want to give you a little bit of love, all right? So hit me up. And I'm finally in the shade now. Woo, feeling better. If you're actually enrolled in class right now, first time you actually seen me face to face, hit me up in the chat room right this second. The chat room here on Ustream, or again for you latecomers, you can hit me up on AIM, A-I-M, the instant message machine at GEOG1014. That's GEOG 1014. There are also, you can hit me up on Google Chat at JOBOYER at bt.edu. And you can also hit me up in the chat room right here on the Ustream channel. If you could give me your names real quick, give them to Katie, get you a few points. Did you hear that, Katie? That's how I roll. And if you have any questions, I wanted to ask you folks specifically who are actually in the class this semester right now, how's it going? What do you think? You can be honest with me. It's the first time I've ever done a completely online class. Obviously, it's the first time I've ever done it from around the world, but I decided to do it from around the world because I thought, wow, this is the first time online classes mostly suck because they're just boring professors who are recording their crap instead of going to class. They're just recording it in their office. So this is the first time I've done a fully online class because I felt like this is a venue. This worldly venue is worthy of doing an online class for. This is bringing a new component to an online offering. So I wanted to ask you all specifically who are in the class right now, has this been cool? Is this a class you won't take it again because you've already taken it, but is this a class that you would suggest other people take?
Kevin Cup's hanging up.
No way, Kevin Cup! Woohoo! Back to the Future, Marty! Hey, Kevin Cup, what's going on, brother, man? Our good man, Kevin Cup, who owns a DeLorean, who is the Plaid Avenger online site manager / guru, and who's developing our app for our 3rd edition comic book. You know what? If you're in my online class, by the way, you're going to get a free copy of our app, of our 3rd edition comic book app. And if you're still in town when I roll back into Blacksburg, Virginia on December 17th, if you come by my office, I'll give you all 3 comic books for free, just for being in the class. Anybody who's currently in the class right now, who wants a free comic, give me a shout out right now. We'll take your name down, get you some comics, get you some extra credit, get you all the Rio love I can offer without wearing a G-string. Although there's some women around here wearing G-strings. Did you see that girl, Katie? Like, oh, shit. Hello. Good thing I'm not down on the beach. I'd be arrested for gawking. Okay. Do I have any other online questions or comments? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me read out some of the comments here. Someone says, has to be better than in Burris, right? And someone else says, I'm kind of disappointed I don't get the big Burris class, but seeing all the places is legit. Where is the class lecture hosted? Someone asked. Actually, we've been posting up all the videos from class to our YouTube channel, and those are free and open access. You don't need to be in the class to view any of the content that we've produced. Which, by the way, we're going to go to the top of that rock. Let me point it out again. We're going to go to the top of that rock tomorrow and record a podcast shooting back down onto Copacabana Beach and all of the city from there. I did a podcast from Jesus yesterday, from the Christ the Redeemer, before I got kicked out of there by security guards. So hopefully we'll have that up pretty soon, and we'll have another one from that rock, Sugarloaf Mountain, that we'll be posting up a few days after that. Another question? See if I can read it. Did you hear from the chat room? Did you hear that apparently Joseph Kony is in surrender talks with the Central African Republic? Yes, I actually did hear that. And Virginia Tech played some small role in that because we have a lot of Get Kony 2012 supporters from our class, and we had Jason Russell, the founder of that organization, come to our classroom a couple of years ago. So if he surrenders, I'm not sure why he would surrender. He's batshit crazy. Was sure he'd go out in a blaze of glory, and he still might. But supposedly the word on the street is Joseph Kony, this bizarre, brutal child soldier recruiting, arm chopping maniac who's led an army through different parts of Uganda and Central African Republic and the DRC for decades now, is perhaps under surrender talks. Why he would do that, I don't know. He's been on the run for 30 years. Why would he suddenly want to surrender now? I don't get it. Any other questions? Someone says apparently he needs to be hospitalized because he's seriously ill. Yeah, I guess if you, I mean, he's crazy. He legitimately is crazy. He thinks he's the son of one of the lost sons of Jesus Christ. So he truly is legitimately crazy. I'm not using that just off the cuff. Why he would want to be treated when Jesus should be saving him, I don't know. And why you'd want to be treated so that you can spend the rest of your life in jail is kind of weird. But some people are so married to life, they have to have a little bit more, even if it's a shitty life. So I guess it's better than running around the jungle, dying. I don't know. Any other questions about anything going on in Rio, in South America, Latin America, all points abroad, current events? Oh, is there any other comments from people who are actually in the class right now? Sorry to keep asking. I genuinely just want to know. I wonder if I keep, is this a good class to keep teaching? Should I keep doing something like this? When we taught the class in Burris before, it's been fun because we've had interesting events come up that we created a buzz. We would have fun stuff happen or special guests come to the class, and that is fun. I won't lie, I miss that and I love that. But in terms of a class, by the way, that's pretty rare. What other college classes actually do anything remotely close to that? Have, you know, guests come in from other parts of the planet and do crazy stuff and social network. So if I was just teaching a regular class without doing something special in Burris, is this a good regular class to offer? I just want to know if this is good enough to keep going. Should we pursue this? This is our first run. We're down to like T-minus 3 weeks of this journey. And it's been exhausting. It's been exhilarating and exhausting. Because unlike everybody else on the ship who is out partying in Rio right now, or going to the rainforest or whatever the hell else these students do. You know, they work and the faculty work when they're on the ship, but then they get into port and they all go party, whee! I work my ass off on the ship and have actually done extra lectures on the ship, just outside of my class. They have like general meetings where everybody comes and just to talk about stuff, and so I've been asked to do bunches of talks about the countries that we're getting ready to go to. So I've done double time lectures on the ship, and then when we get to port while everybody else is partying, me and Katie go out and start recording stuff and scouting locations and busting our ass then. So basically I haven't had a day off for like 3 months, including today, but this is pretty close. This is pretty close to a day off. It's great. I love it. And I wonder, should I do this every day? Should I do this for a living? Should we introduce students at Virginia Tech and maybe other parts of America to the world via this format? Is this a good use of technology Is this a good use of online education? Is this where it should be going for the future? Because I think it is. But I'm the one dude on this side of the camera. I need to hear from you dudes and dudettes on that side of the podium to say that, yeah, wow, I would actually take another course like this. Maybe not even a World Regions course, but I would take an engineering course where they were going from around the world and talking to people about engineering in China or South Africa or some other place. I really think this is the future of education. This is why this is all an exploratory visit to digital education. Should we keep doing it? I'm going to turn the camera a little bit because the sun is now setting over there in the west, just to see it glint off the hills behind me. So there, Copacabana Beach is going off to my left shoulder. Look at the hills there. Look at the buildings. Let's see how far I can keep going just to show you all this. This is the bizarre, cool landscape here. These metamorphic rock hills just enclose in the southern shore here, and they just pop up all over the place. They're part of the, what I call the Greater Brazilian Highlands. So actually, if you even went inland into Brazil, it's kind of a very small hills, but it pops up to an elevated highlands that kind of isolate off the coast from the interior of Brazil. If you go further north in Brazil, by the way, that's when you get to the Amazon River Basin, and that's all coastal plain. Obviously, the Amazon River's been wearing it all down for millions of years. So when you get up there, it's all jungle covered, but it's much more level coastal plains, like you say in, say, Virginia, where there's maybe 50 to 100 to 200 miles of slowly sloping, maybe rising up coastal plain, versus here where it's 50 feet off the beach, you're jumping up 2,000 feet. That's a classic escarpment. So these are the Brazilian highlands, classic escarpment here around Rio. It's in southeastern Brazil. This whole kind of little mountain chain runs. It doesn't get that high, by the way. It's like the Appalachians. It only goes 2,000 to 4,000 feet, usually max. But it's a pretty good area, southeastern Brazil. It's boom, jumps up into this hill region. It's a fairly expansive hill region in southeast Brazil. Sorry, I got off on a tangent. Should turn around here and show you Katie real quick. I'm gonna do a pan to show you all of. You're getting ready to see the entire 100%. You're gonna see all of Copacabana Beach. Ready? From, let's see, sun setting over there, that's west, that's east, so it's from north to south, Copacabana Beach. You ready? Here we go. And then Katie will wave to you at the end. At the Copacabana, the hottest spot north of Havana. Oh, hell, let's go 360.
You want to go all the way?
Just had to do it. Had to take you a full 360 degrees on the beach of Copacabana here in the heart of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Someone says gypsy tears. That's too awesome. Oh, wait a minute. I was getting ready to tune out, but I can't because Andrew Major just tuned in.
I said it to me, he's like, oh, I'm going to call right now. Oh, you can't, no worries.
Is that Major Leagues? Major Leagues, are you in the house? I can't remember. I can't see what he tapped into. I just saw a pop-up that he was here. Maybe he just tuned into I see Josette. Oh, I had to do a shout out from my main lady back home, Josette T. Lady M Black is up in the hizzle too. Here's to you, Josette. Wish you were here. Wish you were here. Although if you were, there'd be less fear. See how that rhymes? See how I just did that for you, Josette? So since we are running out of time, and I actually think they might be kicking us out of here soon, and battery life is starting to run low, just wanted to give a shout out to all you good peeps, all 5 of you that showed up. So glad this worked. Glad we actually did not think the internet connection was going to work. When we tried to connect up for the first half hour, Ustream kept saying, this connection's too slow, it won't work. And in fact, I've been it's been popping up error messages the whole time. This is not working. So apparently they're wrong, and I'm glad it did work. What's that?
Robin says hi.
I actually just maxed it out to a high quality level too. I'm like, if it blows up, it blows up. Let's see what it looks like. Cool. And I did want to shout out to all the good peeps in this class. I hope you've enjoyed the class. We'll actually try to do this again from Salvador. The next stop is Salvador, which is a much smaller town than Rio, up in northeast Brazil.
Capital.
It is murder capital of Brazil, so whoops. Muhammad III is up in the hizzle. What's going on, Muhammad? Muhammad is the most popular name on the planet. I know that. So shout out to all the peeps in class. Hope you're liking this. If I can get 5 people in the next 60 seconds to say they want it, we'll do the online office hour again from Salvador, Brazil, in the Northeast. I'd say we'll do it from Havana, Cuba, but they probably don't got Wi-Fi there. Fidel won't allow that. Fidel no likey the Wi-Fi. So, and we're Americans, so they'll probably kill us. No, not really. Havana's awesome. So if a handful of people want the online office hours again, I know that we probably should have done this later at night when people are more...
I just got kicked off. So
we meant to do this at night when more people would be tuned into it, but we know it's a Thursday night back home. It's a cold night, means it's a party night. Everybody's gonna be hitting tots, so we won't see you. So we figured, what the hell? We were up here live. We got on Wi-Fi before they're kicking us out of this joint. So let's just go ahead and do it live and see what's up. And hopefully, my main man, Andrew Major, saw me here. Major, better hit me up if you're seeing this right now, because we love you. Major Leagues, Andrew Major is a VT alumni, the most awesome VT alumni ever in the history of the whole university. So hopefully he's here, and we're going to fade out. You know, I should probably get above the rail for a fade out. I just wanted you to see the whole real deal above the rail. Dude, look at that. This is phenomenal. You simply must come to the city, even if you get mugged. And so I'm going to put on my G-string and head directly to that beach, and I'm going to jump in the water and swim out to that sailboat you see out there in the distance. How about that? Would that score me extra points? Hey, wait a minute, Plaid Klaus is up in the hizzle now too. Damn it. Let's get ready to sign out. Klaus, what the hell are you up to, brother man? You zoom it back down. Dude, look at this. Is this shit real? It is. It's Rio. It's real. Plaid Klaus is, of course, the Plaid artist.
get in the chat, so I'm off the chat now.
Oh, you're off the chat. Katie says hi, too, but she got kicked out.
Yeah, 2 hours are up, so it's running close.
Oh.
You'll probably get 10 more minutes.
Oh, no, you were gone for like 15 minutes just trying to get that password. And plus, my battery's almost dead, too. So now I got to give a shout out to all the peeps I love in the current online class. All the former World Regioners out there who I love even more. Tenured World Regioners. Everybody back home in Blacksburg. Everybody at the VT. Heard the football team's doing good. Awesome. Although we lost a heartbreaker, I heard. I heard rumor we lost a heartbreaker. We will definitely destroy UVA. That's a no-brainer. Probably by 50 points. I'm predicting a 52-point win over UVA. Okay, 53. A shout out to the Plaid Klaus, the awesome Plaid artist, who we must develop a cover for the Plaid Adventures World 7th edition, which I'm writing right now. And to the ever awesome Andrew Major if he's out there, and the ever awesome Josette T, Lady in Black back in Blacksburg, and the ever awesome Katie Pritchard over here to my left. But I guess we're going to have to now. I hate to do it. I hate to do this to you, but we got to sign out from Rio. Got this. Look at that. I'm doing it one more time. Signing out from Rio. Signing out from Rio as the sun is going down on Copacabana Beach, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Up and comer, awesome, awesome country, middle power now, middle rising power on planet Earth. For now, we're gonna have to sign it off. If you want some more online office hours, hit me up. We'll do it again from Salvador, Brazil in like 4 days. What's that?
Give it a minute. Like 30 seconds.
I love you all. Good night and good luck. Whole minute?
I would say 30 seconds.
Is it done? Is it done? Is it done?
No longer. I would say
Okay.